Today, we are going to be debunking some myths surrounding planting store-bought potatoes at home.
The method that we're going to show you is incredibly simple, and you can do it in just about any container that you may already have laying around your house.
Be sure to stick around until the end because we are going to share a bonus tip with you on how to store your potatoes and increase their shelf life.
If you have ever pulled a potato out of your cupboard or drawer and had it look like this, you may have thought that it's time to throw it away. Don't do that. Those are called chits or eyes, and it's the potato's way of letting you know that it is ready to grow.
One of the biggest myths around growing potatoes at home is that you cannot use store-bought potatoes as your seed potato because they are sprayed with growth inhibitors. This simply is not true. It is true that potatoes are treated with chemicals to reduce sprouting, to extend shelf life. The potato doesn't know it's been sprayed. It wants to grow anyway. And most potatoes will do exactly that, which is why you've most likely seen a potato that looks like this in your pantry.
Growth inhibitors do decrease sprouting, but they do not eliminate sprouting. And while you may get a lower harvest this year because of that reduced sprouting, if you keep one of the potatoes that you grow and use it next year to plant, your yields will be much higher because it doesn't have that inhibitor on it anymore.
We do recommend growing store-bought potatoes, but we do not recommend planting store-bought potatoes in the soil. And that is because the potatoes you buy from the store are not certified disease-free. And if you grow potatoes that do have a disease, it can stay in the ground for years. So plant them in a container. It's our favorite method. We highly recommend it. After you grow your store-bought potatoes in your container, as long as there were no signs of disease on your potato plants while they were growing, you can amend your soil and reuse it again. Our favorite way to revitalize soil is using worm compost, and we have a couple DIY builds in a playlist, and we will link that for you here and in the description below.
Let's talk about soil. Soil selection is very important. You need to pick a soil that's loose and well draining. Compacted soil will reduce growth and restrict the plant's ability to grow more and larger potatoes under the soil. Next, we're going to talk about container selection, but first, we want to hear from you. What's something creative that you can think of that you could grow potatoes in at home? Drop us a comment below and let us know.
As we mentioned earlier, you can use any container you can think of. We personally like to use 15-gallon grow bags, but you can use totes, 5-gallon buckets, a laundry basket, an old kiddie pool. You can even just buy a bag of potting mix, poke holes in the side, roll it down, and plant your potatoes right in there. When using plastic, it is important that you select food-grade containers, especially with totes and buckets. While the container may be food grade, the mold release used when making the buckets might not be. The food grade numbers you want to look for are 1, 2, 4, and 5, with 2 being the best. This is located on the bottom of almost all plastic containers.
Don't be afraid to get creative when you're selecting your container. If it holds dirt, keeps the sun out, and drains water, you can grow potatoes in it. Where you place your container is extremely important. Potatoes need full sun. That means at least 6 hours of sunlight a day. Now that doesn't mean that they have to be in the sun the whole day. It just means they need to be in direct sunlight for those 6 hours or more. The more sun that your potato plants get, the more potatoes they're going to grow. You should only water your potatoes when you really have to. Too much water can cause the potatoes to rot instead of grow, and then you won't get anything.
A great way to check the moisture level of your soil is to take your finger and stick it into the soil about 2 inches or up to your second knuckle. Using this method can be a little bit tricky if you're a new gardener, so another tip you can try is to take a pencil, push it down into your container. When you remove it, if the wood on the end of the pencil is wet, your soil is moist, and you are good to go.
Watering in containers can be tricky. Water always wants to go to the path of least resistance, and in a container, that means down the sides and not through the soil. A great way that you can get around the water wanting to do that is to water with a glass bottle. You can take any glass bottle that you have, put it over your container, so when you spill water, it goes into your soil. Fill the bottle, flip it upside down and insert it quickly into the soil a few inches, and it will slowly drain off water into your soil where you want it and give the soil time to absorb it.
Now let's get into planting these potatoes. Planting store-bought potatoes at home is easy. All you need is your potatoes, container, soil, and water.
The first step is to take your container and fill it with about 4 to 6 inches of soil.
Next, you're gonna place your seed potatoes in your container. Evenly space your potatoes around your container and place them with the chits facing up.
After placing your potatoes, it's time to fill the rest of the bag with soil. We like to water the soil in every 4 to 6 inches after we've placed the potatoes in, just to make sure it's good and hydrated right from the start. You're done filling your container when you have 2 to 3 inches of room left at the top, and it's important to leave that because you always want to mulch. And we definitely recommend mulching because it does help you retain moisture in your soil so you can water even less and save even more money.
After your mulch is on top, it's time to water your potatoes in, and this is an important step. When you are watering containers, it will look like you have put a lot of water into your container. Let the water soak all the way into your soil, and then brush some soil aside a few inches down and take a look at what it looks like. Oftentimes you'll find that the soil just below that first 1/4 inch is still very dry. Be sure to use the tips we mentioned earlier in this video to check the moisture level of your soil. And one more quick tip for how to know if your soil is properly hydrated or not is to grab a handful of soil and squeeze it. It should hold together in a ball but not have any water dripping out of it.
And that is it. Now all there is to do is water when needed and wait. Let's get on to that bonus tip. When you harvest those lovely spuds and you store them, it's important that you do not store them with onions.
Onions release a gas that will cause your potatoes to chit or sprout quickly. So for the best results and the longest shelf life, store your potatoes in a cool, dark place, ideally in a paper bag with no onions.
If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up below. And if you feel like this might help someone that you know, please go ahead and share it. We would really appreciate it.
Thank you for spending time with us today at the Frederick Family Acre. We know your time is valuable and we love that you chose to spend it here with us. My name's Katrina.
And my name's George. We will see you in the next video. Maybe those crows can go away now.
Yeah, they're out of here.
Bah, 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 bah.
Now Butter's getting in it.
Yeah.
Be sure to stick around until the end because we are going to give you a bonus. Gary, I'm working here.